Let's look ahead to Wednesday. There are 6 games on. We've got 5 more days this week. All of them are streaming days. Let's buckle in and let's get some W's. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and we've been able to penetrate their bigs, get deep, and suck the D in. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That is $150 if your bet wins. Visit fanduel.com/lockedon to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. And in fact, your first double bang every day. We are free and available now, back again on all platforms. Yeah, the audio is back running, so our long national nightmare is over. It's all sorted, and you can come across and double bang now. You can watch the video, you can listen to the audio. In fact, to make up for the fact that we haven't had it, maybe let's dectuple bang. Let's just 10 times everything. Maybe. Thumb it up, comment, bell, subscribe. We are back in business here for the stretch run of the fantasy basketball season. In case anyone's got this question, and sometimes people do, they'll often ask, hey, does Josh do anything in the off season in the playoffs? Yeah. Show runs basically all the way through. There'll be a couple of weeks in the middle of the year when I do travel over to Summer League to watch that, where I'm not putting out as much content because I'm traveling. I'm not taking a studio with me. So there'll be like 2 to 3 weeks where I'm not doing as much, but basically 5 days a week minimum through 50 weeks of the year. So there's going to be a lot of off-season stuff. And that always it's interesting. It's fun. I like doing it, but also helps build your information up for the coming season, I believe. So anyway, let's talk about what we're talking about. Daily look ahead, Wednesday, February the 8th. There are the old 6 games on. Let's take a look what's on my radar for these games. The first game up, we're looking at the New Orleans Pelicans traveling to take on the Indiana Pacers. The Pelicans are on a back-to-back. The last back-to-back they had, Zion Williamson did play. Not sure if you will here. The Pelicans play Wednesday, Friday, so 2 more games this week. Obviously, we're not counting Tuesday here. Just 2 more games this week, so they're off for the weekend. They have 3 games next week, so a little bit low volume here for New Orleans. For the Pacers, they go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and they've got 3 games next week. So CJ McCollum is currently questionable for Tuesday. So is Zion, actually, with that foot thing that they keep Anthony Davis singing with that foot injury. We'll see whether he plays both games. We'll see whether CJ plays both games. But currently, they're both questionable for Tuesday, so I'm going to put them questionable for Wednesday. We know Dyson Daniels will be out, and this will be the final game of Jose Alvarado's suspension also. Aaron Nesmith is listed questionable for the Pacers, so his return will have an impact on the 38 minutes that Ben Mathurin gets, what happens with Andrew Nembhard, all that sort of stuff, even Benny Shepherd. Well, Doug McDermott has been ruled out, meaning maybe we get a little bit more Jarris Walker, who played like 5 first quarter minutes last time out and not much more. It is a back-to-back for the Pelicans. For the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, I did include him on the Buy Low, Sell High show today. I should have. He's really struggling at the moment, and I do think that hamstring injury has had a significant lasting impact. And I never know how best to use the word ironic, so I'll just use it here just in case. It would be pretty ironic if Halliburton rushing back to play through the hamstring injury to get to the 65 games means that he missed more time, but also his play suffered enough that he doesn't end up making All-NBA anyway because he's had a poor run. I don't know that that'll be the case, but it is possible. He could have been the best 15 players in the NBA, and at the moment he's struggling, so we need to see that turn around. In terms of stream guys for the Pelicans, Larry Nance is interesting. He's less interesting if either Zion or CJ are out because that means Valanciunas plays more. And then Nembhard for the Pacers. We're using 50% rostered as the cutoff here, so Mathurin is above that. He would be the guy that I'd prioritize given how well he's played the last 2 or so games. The next game we look at is the Dallas Mavericks. They are traveling to take on my Toronto Raptors. The Mavericks are on a back-to-back here. They also go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday this week, the same as the Raptors. So 3 more quality games for both of these teams this week, and both of them play 3 games next week in week 19, which for a lot of you is the first week of the playoffs. In terms of injuries, I'm expecting that Dante Exum is out. He is out on Tuesday. I don't know whether he plays on Wednesday. I don't think he will. While Jakob Poeltl is officially listed questionable, which means we've got to really pay attention to Kelly Olynyk. I just think having Kelly Olynyk on your roster is worth doing. Right? I think in 22 minutes, he does enough. But if Poeltl actually misses, then Olynyk does way more than enough. And then, yes, if Poeltl does play and plays 30 minutes and Olynyk plays 18, it's not great. And you could move on. And we haven't seen them play together at all. But if Poeltl, A, is limited or B, doesn't play, you got to have Olynyk in there. And I think that's the perfect stream guy. For the Mavs, Derek Lively is probably the guy we look to stream. He's under 50% rostered. I don't think that he is a must-roster guy anymore, and I don't think Daniel Gafford is either because of the way they are splitting those minutes. But we're going to continually get looks at that to see if there's any change in the ideas there from old mate Jace Kidd. Next game. Both of these next teams are on a back-to-back. It's the Cavs and the Bulls. They both play Tuesday. They're both playing against each other on Wednesday. The Cavs have 3 more games this week, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. The Bulls just Wednesday, Friday, so no weekend game for them. And both of these teams play 4 games next week. At the moment, apart from the season-ending guys for the Bulls, the only guy out is Tristan Thompson for the Cavs, who's suspended, and Torrey Craig's out for the Bulls. This is the game that Andre Drummond, I'm expecting, will move into the starting lineup. It's what they did last time against the Cavs. He'll play pretty big minutes and he'll be useful. Now, he's useless in most of these other games, but this is the one. If they don't start him here, well, that is one of the biggest jacks you'll ever see. Get that garbage out of here! Lube it up with avocado and get him right out of here. Because if he does not start in this one or cross over with Rich in this one, it's done for him. But we do stream him in. There is tremendous value in that. There's also the 4 games next week for Drummond, which might be interesting. But again, he's moved back into a permanent backup role. Well, not permanent, a strict backup role, unless this one changes. Karis LeVert's probably the Cavs guy that I look to stream. He's very hit or miss. That does lean a little bit more towards points leagues, but he does have value, understanding that you're going to be in some peril at times with your field goal percentage. That is what Karis LeVert does. The next game, we've got the Memphis question marks taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. We know that we don't know what to expect from Memphis. I don't know whether Jordan Goodwin's going to be available to play. I don't know whether Trey Jemison's going to be available to play. Do they stick him in the G League? I've got no idea. The Grizzlies do have a great schedule, but who knows? Who knows? Wednesday, Friday, Saturday with 4 games next week. It's an amazing run for the Grizzlies. We just can't trust anybody. For the Wolves, they go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So another 3 more quality games. And then they've got 4 games next week as well. Minnesota does come in on a back-to-back. And there are some injury issues here. Of course, there's the million in Memphis. Des Baines out. Smart's out. Pippen's out. Didn't even put out next to Pippen's name there. He's out. Johnny Conchar's missed the last couple with a thumb injury. Whether he plays or not, I've got no idea. But he's listed questionable at the moment. But for the Wolves, they do play Tuesday. And Towns is out on Tuesday. And Gobert is still questionable. Now, I do believe that Gobert will play on Tuesday. But do they sit him again on Wednesday? Or it's against the Spurs. They just say, let's let the Wizard of Oz do it. With no Towns and no Gobert, let's let Anderson and Reed have a crack. Let's throw Luka Garza in there. Give both those guys a game off and bring them in. But it's not like the Grizzlies should pose huge amounts of problems either. So I'm going to put both Towns and Gobert as questionable here. And we'll see how that goes. For the Grizzlies, last game was really good for Lamar Stevens. I think he shot 88% from the field. His minutes are all over the place. It depends on what happens with Jaren. It depends on what they do with Santi. It depends on whether Trey Jemison plays or not. So it's hard to really trust Lamar Stevens. But he's had a couple of good games in a row. And in deeper leagues, I'm a little bit interested there. But it's more about the role, or do they just flip a switch and decide it's due to Watanabe time? Also possible. In streaming, it is GG Jackson, who's available everywhere. You know the problem with GG. We know it, right? He might shoot 4%. What did he shoot last game? 6? Like, it could be terrible. But he could also have 20 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. In points leagues, he just should be on a roster, I think. Category leagues, he's very borderline, and you've got to be really cautious of it. And it's not even one of those ones where if he got more minutes and more usage, that it necessarily makes it significantly better, because it just might mean that he hurts your percentages that much more, where it becomes even harder to deal with it. But just watch him, and he is streamable for sure, but there is significant risk with getting old mate GG out there because of the nature of how he plays. I don't think it can be as bad as last game, But you never know. You never know. Kyle Anderson's probably the stream there for Minnesota, especially if one of Gobert or Towns happens to be out. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Sometimes you need the opportunity to get something off your chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It builds up. And if you don't have an outlet, whatever way that is, then it can be a real problem. And sometimes getting that stuff off your chest to someone unbiased and, of course, with confidentiality in your life can be really key. And that is a way that you can use therapy. Now, we often have things that are bigger going on in our lives, whether that's something with work or relationships or anything. But you might even be small things. And sometimes the small things, understanding how to deal with the small things or eliminate or push to the side or get them off your chest in a therapy session can help you focus on the bigger things and translate some of those skills across. So if you've been thinking about starting therapy, there's never been a better time. Therapy can be different for everyone. If it's entirely online. Well, it's not different for everyone in this case because BetterHelp's always entirely online. But in terms of what you get out of therapy, it's different for everybody. BetterHelp is entirely online. It's flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. You get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. Today's episode is also brought to you by Stitch Fix. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist that understands your style, your size, and your budget. They do all of the shopping for you. It is the easiest way for you to update your wardrobe this season. Many of us, and I know most of the people watching this, we're blokes, right? Most of us are. And we can be pretty lazy with our clothes. I went through my wardrobe the other day, got out a bunch of clothes and went, these don't fit to begin with. And they just were so out of style that I'd bought them 5 years ago. So it's like, we're going to get these out of here because I didn't update my wardrobe. And if you want a way to stay on trend and in style, Stitch Fix does it. You don't have to worry about going to the shops. You don't have to worry about picking it out. They've got stylists who just pick the things that suit you. You give your preferences, you give your sizes, you give your budget. They send them out. You don't have to subscribe to the box. And if you don't like what's there, shipping, returns, and exchanges are always free. Style that makes you feel as good as you look. Get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon. That is stitchfix.com/lockedon. stitchfix.com/lockedon. Okay, let us go on to the next game. Never like talking about the Grizzlies, man, that's annoying. The next one is the Sacramento Kings taking on the Denver Nuggets. Malik Monk was pretty poor last time. Actually, no, let's talk about schedule. The Kings go Wednesday, Friday, so 2 more quality games for them. They got 4 next week, but off on the weekend, of course, while the Nuggets have 3 more this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, but only 3 games next week. The only injuries currently are Sasha Vezenkov out with the ankle problem for the Kings. De'Aaron Fox did look to hurt his knee in that game yesterday, but he played through it and he was great. And we talked about how he had that shoulder problem prior to the All-Star break, but that's all healed up and he looks awesome. The only one for the Nuggets is Hunter Tyson, who is questionable, but he's not going to play. Malik Monk did struggle yesterday. He's been very up and down over the course of the season and his career. I still think that he's a guy that we need to roster, but let's see how they distribute his minutes with Duarte and with Herter there as well. For the Nuggets, Michael Ponder Jr., who is almost more of a roller coaster than Malik Monk. It is hard to deal with him, and I do really want to dig into consistency stuff a lot. I've said this with Porter in the offseason to figure out how worthy that is and how much you ding guys who are completely inconsistent. But let's see what Porter does. Let's see what he does that's not shooting. Let's see if he can get a little bit of a strong run going. In terms of streams, we do look to Sacramento. We do look to the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy. Of course, Barnes is liable to play 19 minutes in a game, or he could play 37 minutes in a game. This was a problem with the Kings last season, with Keegan Murray, with Kevin Herter, with Malik Monk, and now Harrison Barnes is in that mix. That Mike Brown will go, you missed 2 shots, you're done. We won't play you anymore. That happens so often. And he's not good enough to begin with to be held, but well, everyone can be held. We all enjoy embraces at times. But Harrison Barnes is a guy that you consider a stream guy without being a must-roster player. And then for the Nuggets, that's exactly the same with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Now, his minutes are consistent. It's just that he doesn't do enough in those minutes. But when you have this nice little 3-game in 4-night stretch coming up, KCP's going to play 32 minutes a night, you would guess. You might get 6 steals, 5 steals across those 3 games. This is where you deploy KCP. You don't have to roster him every time, but this is the time to do it when they have this really strong schedule. The last game of the day is the Lakers, and it is the Clippers. One of the last times that we'll see the Clippers hosting the Lakers at Crypto.com. Intuit Dome opens next season. My God, I can't. I'm going over to America in July. Maybe I'll go across to Intuit and see if I can just have a look and see what it looks like. Maybe. I don't know. I'll hit up Steve Ballmer, see if he let me in. Lakers go Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, so 3 games in 4 nights, and they got 4 next week. The Clippers go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, so 3 more games as well, and 4 games next week. Injury-wise, Anthony Davis is questionable, as he always is, but I believe this one is a little bit different with Davis because I think this is an illness that he is dealing with, not the usual hip/pelvis/Achilles/ankle/whatever it is that's the problem here. Davis is questionable with an illness. Cam Reddish is officially questionable with his ankle sprain. Not really sure where Reddish fits into the rotation. Probably maybe takes maybe takes Max Christie's minutes. I'm not sure. We know that Wood's out, Vanderbilt Bar is out, Gabe Vincent is out, and Colin Castleton is out. More importantly, on the Clippers side of things, Paul George is out with that knee soreness, and that's not great. Ruled out a day in advance after missing Sunday's game. We hope that he's all right coming up soon, but knee soreness, we know he had that significant knee problem at the end of last season that kept him out of all of the playoffs. We hope that everything's all right there with George. With him out, they did start Norman Powell last game and played him a lot. They could go to Amir Coffey, but I think they'll probably go to Powell. For the Lakers, LeBron is shooting like 56% from 3 over the last 3 weeks. That's probably going to come down. They're playing him a ton of minutes. I do continue to worry about LeBron, and there is a little sell high here with him because of the way he's shooting. For the Clippers, we saw Zubac play 33 minutes last game with no Paul George. He hadn't gotten over 29 in any of the other games so far. That's intriguing. Does that mean that without Paul George, they're less likely to go to those small lineups, meaning they rely a little bit more on Zubac? Well, we get more of an indication here in this one. In terms of streams, Rui Hachimura, yes, he is inconsistent and doesn't do much apart from scoring, but the opportunities are going to be there for him still with all those players out. So Rui's got some value, especially if Davis is out. And then Powell is the obvious Clippers one, who's going to get more shots with no Paul George and most likely, almost definitely, more minutes in that situation. If we have a look at the next bunch of things, we're looking at the which teams have the Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back. It is only the Lakers and the Nuggets. So if you're looking for a 2-for-1, you're looking for Rui Hachimura. You're looking for deeper leagues. Maybe it's Max Christie. You're looking for Spencer Dinwiddie, who's definitely not a 12-team guy as a general rule, but maybe. You're looking for KCP if he was dropped. You're looking for Reggie Jackson, Peyton Watson as these 2-for-1 players. They're the only 2 teams going the back-to-back in this one. In terms of the chunks for the rest of the week, 5 days left this week, all of them quality game days. Trey Mann and the Hornets go Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Not really having any confidence that LaMelo Ball is going to be back, but Mann has got that value. I'd be pretty interested in doing that. Deeper leagues, I look at Vasily Micic and see where his value lies. They also did sign, and people are going to ask this question, so we'll do it now. Alexei Pokusevski signed with the Hornets. There's a couple of things to remember, and I referenced this because someone asked me this on Twitter. Someone said, well, surely Poku just gets all of JT Thor's minutes now, and JT Thor is playing 0 minutes. It is worth remembering that those minutes aren't there. The minutes at center are going 30 to Nick Richards and basically 18 to Grant Williams. So who is the guy that they can take out of the rotation to play Poku? Poku is, like, he showed some things. He's had a lot of injuries, but like, who comes out of the rotation? Do they not play Seth Curry? Does Bryce McGowan's not play? Do they drop Nick Richards or Grant Williams minutes down to get Poku a big role? I really don't think so. So while it's all well and good to think, well, this is exciting, Poku's here, does he play? I don't think there's a guarantee he gets any sort of sizable role that matters really at all. But I don't know that. I just don't think it's clear cut that he replaces Bridges or Williams or Richards. And they're basically the guys getting all the minutes at the 4 and the 5 at the moment. Maybe he sneaks 10 or 12 in, but maybe he doesn't also. Kelly Olynyk got the good chunk here. Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Nick Richards, the same as Trey Mann, obviously Thursday, Friday, Sunday. KCP with the Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Andy Nembhard, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And Gaz Trent with the Wednesday, Friday, Sunday there as well. Today's episode is also brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy. It is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all of the parts that you need at the prices you want, it is easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to US customers. Okay, So we looked at the chunks now. Let's go into who's got 5 games in 8 nights. So the Wednesday through Wednesday. There are 4 teams that do that. One of them is the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, man, like, it could be great. It could be terrible. We don't know. It's going to give you single-day streaming opportunities. We know that, but that's really about all we can predict with that one. And then we go into the stream of the day. For the 10-team stream, it's got to be Andre Drummond to me. Now, that is a risk. They just might not start him at all, and they might go super small against the Cavs. But I think you got to take this chance. With only 6 games on, you've got the ability to do it, and Drummond could play 30 minutes plus. For a 12-teamer, Kelly Olynyk, that value boosts significantly if Pirtle is out, so I'm baking that in. 14-team, I'm going with Josh Green. Just got a pretty strong role. It is a back-to-back, but I think he'd be okay there. And then 16-team, it is the Prestige Penis. Grade A Dick, who's shooting really well. The minutes are pushing up. I'd love him to just get to 28, but we're not quite there yet with Dick, but he's looking pretty good at the moment. Drummond is the points league streamer for both Yahoo and on ESPN. For your 10-team category streams, again, we always just go down the list here, and if these guys are available in any of your other size leagues, well, you grab them first as well. We start with the big avocado, Andre Drummond. We go to Kelly Olynyk, Norman Powell, all those guys. Drummond should start. Olynyk could replace Pirtle, and Powell should replace George. Big boosts in value for those players. I've got Trey Murphy on this list. There's a possibility that CJ is out. There's a possibility that Zion is out. There's a possibility that both are out, and there's a definite situation where Daniels and Alvarado are out. So it's a great spot for Trey. Caldwell Pope is there. No one's out, but just enough there. And then Gaz Trent as well, who's getting some okay minutes. It's very hit or miss with Gaza, but there is something there. Look, I wouldn't look at KCP or Gary or Trey as must-roster guys, nor Norman Powell, Andre Drummond. Kelly Olynyk's the only one I'd consider, but probably not quite there with 10, considering they haven't ruled Jakob Poeltl out for any long period of time. In terms of the next list of guys, which are more tailored to 12-teamers, these are 50% rostered or below. Andy Nampard. That will change a little bit if Neesmith plays. We just don't know whether he's going to play at this point. Derek Lively in the mix there. GG Jackson, Harrison Barnes, Joshy Green, and Kyle Anderson. For deeper leagues, these are just below 20% rostered. Santi Aldama is one of them. Grade A Dick is there. Jalen Smith, Timothy John McConnell, the Duck, Luke Kennard, always a risk, and Terrence Mann for the Clippers. A little bit more for Mann to do with the absence of Paul George. And lastly, we look at points leagues. The points streamer, we're going to go with Andre Drummond, of course, Norman Powell, GG Jackson, Kelly Olynyk, Gary Trent, and Karis LeVert. So quite a few streaming options have opened up here on Wednesday with the 6 games on, and more might appear. Don't forget that we are done. Don't forget that you can go ahead and you can double bang again now. So you can go listen to the audio, you can watch the video, thumb it up, leave your comments, subscribe, and hit that notification bell wheel. Back full steam ahead, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for watching, everyone, and for being patient. We are done here. What am I supposed to say? Yeah, see ya.